Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. Vin and I are going to go see 3 sailboats today down in Annapolis, Maryland. A Tartan 37, a Bristol 40, and a Catalina 36. So let's go take a look.
In this episode, we're going to look at this Tartan 37, but we got a bit distracted because there were some problems with the mast. And that kind of led us into a talk with Jeff Halpern about the difference between a deck-stepped mast and a keel-stepped mast.
It's almost impossible to keep water out of a boat when you have a keel-stepped mast. You know, it's going from here all the way to the top. There are going to be mast penetration, so you're always going to have water coming in. I'm seeing some rust here on this thing, so I don't quite know what's going on. Two of the things you want to look at is you want to see, first of all, around here where the deck penetration is, you hope that it's sealed and you don't have water going into the to the deck there. And then the other one is down here at the bottom, is whether or not there's corrosion.
So can you just comment on, pros and cons of deck-stepped masts versus keel-stepped masts? Pros and cons of each.
Yeah, well, the thing about that is that people are religious about that issue, and there really is no one right answer. The argument for keel-stepped masts go back in history to the idea that if you had a mast that was stepped on the keel, especially with wooden boats, but in any boat, it adds one extra panel to the mast, one extra structural section to the mast, and therefore allowed the mast to be stronger, stiffer, and smaller in size. When we went to the CCA racing rule, the emphasis changed on how rigs were designed, because the rule pushed us to masthead rigs. And masthead rigs are pretty easy to step on deck. Frankly, the structure between the deck and the bottom of the boat at that point, between the deck and the keel, became something that was a simple structural compression post. And therefore, for boat builders, it gave them quite a few advantages. People at that time, recreational sailors, were pulling their boats out of the water for the winter. It made it easier to take the mast off the boat, so maintenance got to be less. And these masts were so stiff when they went to aluminum masts compared to the wooden masts that preceded them, that extra panel wasn't necessary. But as we learned about sail shape and sail design and rig design, those stiff masts just were not a great thing. The risk with a deck-stepped mast was that if you lost the mast, it was over the side, and there was no way to recover. And out in the ocean, there was a feeling that all you could do is cut the rig away and hope it didn't put a hole in the boat before you got it loose. So for cruising boats, there was a sense that you had to have a keel-stepped mast. The reality with that, though, is that keel-stepped masts take water down below. The keels, there's always water in the bilge, there's often water across the deck. If you turn around, you'll see there's water on the deck that came down the mast during the storm and ran across the deck and into the bilge. So it's a nuisance to have a keel-stepped mast if you don't need one. Now, in my mind, the best solution is actually a deck-stepped mast that has a structural connection, moment connection at the deck, so that the load gets transferred through the deck to a structural post that's in bending. You gain the extra panel, you gain the ability that the mast is still attached to the deck, because the other issue with a keel-stepped mast is if you lose the mast, there's this piece of mast that's beating you to death. It's folded over and the waves are pushing against the boat, and you end up having to try to cut this tree trunk down to keep from sinking your boat if it's really in the most extreme conditions. And so to be able to unbolt it at the deck and send it over the side, in my mind, is the best mix.